Morning, everyone. Today is the 28th of April, Monday. This is Brad Matheny. Last week was a very interesting week in the markets. You can see we had a bit of a roll up last week up into this upper resistance zone. I am urging traders to be very cautious up here near this zone. Let me try to get here and highlight this in kind of a purple. We are very close to an ultimate high. We are very close to filling this gap window at about 555.02 roughly. Sorry, let me come over here. 550. Well, let me get over here to the low. 554.81. That would be the low of this gap right here. So what I'm urging everyone to do right now is to stay effectively hedged. This market could break out to the upside and could attempt to move up into this area, 550, 575, 78 on a fairly solid breakout move, or could stall right here and move back downward. We are very close to this 50% level. You come back over here and you take a look from up here down to here, and you can see that we are really almost right at that 50% level right here. This is an area that's historically been very strong resistance, but it also acts as a battle zone, the middle level, the battle zone of price. And when you get into this mode where we're struggling right around this 50% level, we could break out one way or the other. Now, my research still indicates that the dominant side of this trend right now appears to be the downside. Trend is weaker. Trend is not really moving higher, but we've got a big speculative kind of a move taking place right here, which could cause us to move up into this area. I doubt very highly we get up into this upper area, but we could move up into this 575, 576 area on more speculative buying. This is basically speculative buying. I mean, that you've got earnings numbers coming out from Q1, which is pretty much before Trump was in office. You have data and expectations now moving forward with the transportation index and other indexes dramatically lower, indicating weaker and weaker future economic data. So I'm looking at this as kind of a bull trap to the upside on speculation leading to that breakdown. But we'll see how things play out. The SPY cycle patterns are in an inside breakaway in trending mode. The weekly bias went bullish last week. I didn't catch it yet last week because I was running around with my family. I apologize about that. But the weekly bias has now gone bullish. That means that we are now looking at a little bit more of a basing bottoming type trend on the weekly patterns. Still daily is bearish. We are in bullish trending and explosive short-term trending. So again, we're getting that little bit of a kind of a bounce in a downtrend kind of a mode. And I would be cautious, like I mentioned to you, of this being more speculative than really economic driven. Ask yourself, what is going to drive this market higher right now, other than speculation that the U.S. market's going to bottom and bounce back out of this, which could happen. My research suggests that we're going to stay more consolidated, excuse me, on weaker numbers. But again, I don't see any real growth factor, but there's nothing saying that we couldn't bounce out of this with some strong speculative type of move. So we'll see. I guess we'll see how it plays out, obviously, over the next couple of days. I am looking at this major crush pattern and this bottom pattern setting up on the 1st and the 2nd of May as a big potential crush bar. So the way I'm looking at it here is we're probably going to roll into sideways trending here. I were to look at this, say, right in this area, roll into sideways trending, roll a little bit downward, and then come the 1st and the 2nd, really looking at that crush pattern taking place. So really kind of a big breakdown in my opinion, coming to the downside here. And I don't see this trend lasting to the upside. So that's my opinion. The reason I'm asking traders to hedge right now is that we could get some sort of a breakaway rally over the next day or two. And I could be completely wrong. Remember, I'm not 100%. So I'm kind of telling you that hedging right now is super important to be able to plan out and prepare for a rotation in the market, meaning to the upside. I could be wrong to the downside here. I'm human. I read the data. I give you my best interpretation, but I'm not 100% accurate, obviously. So, still leaning probably 70, 80% to the downside with the risk of an upside move here. So, kind of grab this into dark green, saying we could see this, which is why you need to hedge, and more than likely going to see this, and we'll see how things play out. Again, that major crush, again, this major bottom and a major crush pattern in this bullish trending with this bullish bias would indicate a breakdown is going to take place right over here. So this is basically indicating a breakdown type of a trend. Then we move into gap reversal, gap breakaway, breakaway, carryover, and then rally, 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 rally. So we're really looking at kind of a breakdown and then potentially a gap. So understand some sort of a breakdown here, then a gap reversal, then some carryover, and then some rally mode up. It's really what we're looking at right now in this type of a pattern, breaking down, gapping, consolidating, and then rallying out here around the 12th or so. If I do this right, yeah, around the 12th or so. Okay, so where we're at with gold is, let me come back over here to gold. Holding up above the 3,300, just barely. Same thing with silver, right below the $33 area. Again, that $33 area is going to be fairly strong uh, psychological price marker. We need to see this really begin to move higher. And again, it's going to depend on what the dollar is doing. The dollar was up just a little bit last week, 99.58, 99.60. The dollar at parity is going to provide some strength to foreign currencies. Now, we have a very good chance that the dollar is going to stay fairly flat today. The Canadian elections are taking place today, as I understand it, fairly hotly contested, I guess. For Canada, really a staunch liberal against a staunch conservative, kind of like here in America. We'll see how it plays out. I think gold's going to stay fairly flat and silver because of this election. I think there's going to be a lot of, pent up relief after the election, which is why today in the stock market might be a little hesitant today in the stock market as well to make any big moves. But we shall see. We'll see what happens today. Gold and silver SPY cycle pattern or gold cycle pattern is a topping pattern today. Then we get a bottoming pattern here in counter trend mode, which is another topping pattern. Then we get the bottom gap rally, which is the top uh, pullback, and then we get the breakaway crush pattern on Sunday, flat down, breakaway, and then rally. So now this rolling top, top, top. This is, remember, a top, a bottom and counter trend is a top. A bottom gap rally is a top gap sell off in a counter trend mode. So kind of what we're looking at for gold is a top, possibly setting up something like this, possibly then setting up something like this, possibly then setting something like this, and then moving into some little sideways trending. So would not be surprised to see gold make a series of peaks rallying upward potentially over the next 3, 4, 5 days. And then we move into that rally pattern back over here, flat down, the breakaway and counter trend mode, and then rally and trend mode. So we could move into some real solid consolidation trying to break upward and then potentially roll a little bit before we try to break up and out. So maybe about 5, 6 days before we see some real big breakout move for gold, and could be related to the election, could be related to what's going on globally and in the U.S. But like I said, right now I think we're looking at a good 3 days, 4 days or so of moderate melt up. I would think we'll see how it plays out. Okay, lastly, we'll come over here to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is up to 95,000. This is daily. It's holding its own. It's moved right up into that resistance area that I talked about and kind of peaking. Looks like move to front. Nope, move to visual order, bring to front. Looks like it's trying to break out. So we shall see here. But right now, it's right up into this resistance area. It looks like there is some hedging capacity here in Bitcoin right now, moving higher. Obviously, if we get above this 95,000 area that we're at right now, we're going to move back up into this 108 area. It seems logical. Um, Big, solid breakaway attempt right here. We shall see how it plays out. Obviously, as I mentioned to you, bullish. We're back into the resistance zone here. We'll see how it plays out. Still in this consolidation zone. If it were to consolidate, which I believe is a 60 to 70% chance probability, we're going to see it roll back downward here. If it does continue to invalidate, we're going to see it attempt to move above 106, basically this level, and then attempt to move above the 109, 112 area and really start to accelerate. Pretty powerful move, though, here. Broke above this historical high, this standout high, and this standout high. We've gotten above this standout high, at least right now. Today's close is above this standout high. We're getting pretty good, solid upward trending. We're above the flagging formation, barely. Yeah, we are above this deeper flagging formation. We're above this flagging formation, or soon will be. So we are, seeing pretty solid strength right now in Bitcoin. Quite quite surprising, actually. But again, we're still in this consolidation range, so we could reject right here. We could come up here and we could roll and reject back to the downside, and we need to watch what happens. But we are definitely in an uptrend. So again, what I can tell you is this breakout move, back when I told you about it about last week, end of last week or beginning of the week before, um, we were breaking out. We had rallied up here. We're running into resistance. And now we need to see how this plays out. If we break above this level here, you got a clear run up. So if you break above, say, 57, 97, you got a pretty clear run up to 106, 107. If we stall at this level, then we're headed back down into this consolidation zone here, 84, 85. From these levels up here, that's a $10,000 breakdown. We're still in that consolidation zone, guys. Until we get above this purple level right here, we're in that consolidation zone. So we got to get above, say, 96 grand. And then if we do on a fairly strong close, we're moving upward. Okay, it is Monday. Thank you for all the great comments. Had a great weekend. Everything is good. Let's see how things play out today. Did a complete backup on my system yesterday, which was wonderful. Give you a little hint. If you don't have a backup, stop and do one this week. Go get yourself some large external hard drive or what have you, a big USB stick, and make a backup. I cannot tell you how important it is to do regular backups. I do them every 2 months. Okay, guys, that's it. Get some today. Happy Monday. Talk to you later.